Hello, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Fine, how
Morning.
are you? Okay, I guess we're still waiting for Chris. So, hmm. Okay, well, I'll give it another minute. Is that okay, Eric and
Sure, absolutely. I'm
Christy?
good.
Oh, okay, super. I don't know when we actually start to run the TV portion, whether we wait till we get the cue, so to speak, or
Yeah. Once you get ready to call it to order, you can tell our City 7 folks there and they will queue us up.
okay, super, will do. Yeah, I don't have Chris's phone number to text her or anything like that, but I don't know if we want to do that or
Anna
just
or
just move
Kristen, can you
forward.
do that?
I'll see if I can find it.
Okay. Where were you when that picture was taken, Eric? Where were you?
That's at the Adventure Oasis Water Park. That's where we've been doing our community COVID testing for the last, oh gosh, I don't know, couple months or so.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, paid for with CARES funding, and unfortunately that funding has now been expended, and we have enough tests to last through sometime next week, and then that's it.
Yeah. Okay, that's unfortunate.
It is actually. The site was serving anywhere from 300 to 400 people a day.
Yeah, maybe more money. Well, maybe more money will come. You know.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. We've certainly
That's right.
submitted for it. Yeah, we've asked for it, so hopefully, hopefully it'll come.
Yep. Okay. Well, I tell you what. Let's go ahead. Is that okay with everybody here?
Yeah. The only thing is, we will need I think we're going to need a motion today.
It's true. It's true. Okay. No. Yeah, and the motion is, I'm looking here at the agenda, Eric, and that's for the, as part of the cost center report.
Yeah, the really what I want to talk to the executive committee today about is an amendment that was made at the Parks Commission level relative to the proposal for the tourism budget. And the reason why they had a say in it was because we were proposing to shift the cost of historic site maintenance, grounds maintenance, those types of things, over to Parks and Recreation sales tax. So they needed to weigh in on that. And they're certainly in favor in a short term, but they made an amendment to have the sales tax fund repay that amount once the sales tax fund began collecting at its pre-COVID rate. So we need to talk about that today, and because that was not what was presented to you all, so I just need to circle back and make sure you guys are aware and see if you endorse that or not.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said Krista did not answer her phone, so I'm sending email and see what else I can figure out.
Okay, well, sure. I was going to say, I mean, you know, if we have to reschedule, you know, because we definitely need her presence here, don't we?
Yes. Well, Mr. Thornton is also on the executive committee, correct?
Yes, true.
So
I think he was voted on last meeting.
Yeah, so we should be reaching out to him as well.
Yeah, that's right. Because we need what, two voting members, Eric? We wouldn't need all three necessarily.
No, just two.
Okay.
Anna, did Mr. Thornton get the meeting announcement for today?
No, he didn't. And I just called Chris also. She's not answering. I sent her an email.
Well, could we just reschedule for like an hour, 11:30, or is that not possible with the TV schedule and all?
Steve, is that you manning City 7 today?
I think it is Steve. I was talking to him earlier.
Okay. Steve, what's your thoughts about rescheduling?
Or tomorrow even.
Wouldn't it be more of an issue of the notice for the public meeting?
Yeah,
I think that's
really.
going to be the.
Yeah,
Okay.
we couldn't do it just for today. We'd have to schedule it like next week.
I think you have to have at least 24-hour notice for sunshine request. So
Understood.
Yeah, it has to be posted 24 hours in advance.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm willing to give it to like 10:45 now.
Yeah,
I mean,
give it to 10. Yeah, let's do that. And then if we don't have quorum, then we're going to have to reschedule for next week.
okay.
Anna's going
Okay.
to reach out to John Thornton to see if he can get on the meeting. So
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I don't know what the rule is, in terms of a strict 10:30 start versus a window of 15 minutes. I wouldn't think it would matter very much.
I think
Okay.
15 minutes is the rule of thumb.
Yeah, it just depends on how much time they had booked in and then what they have upcoming next. So
Well,
Steve, if you could hear us, Steve, if you could weigh in, that would be tremendous.
Yeah, we don't want to bump any other programming. Yeah, I was talking to him a few minutes ago.
Because it says that he's on, but muted, so he may have stepped away. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, hopefully he didn't. Hopefully we're not live streaming at the moment. with all this, trying to figure out what in the world we're trying to do here.
That's right.
I don't think so, because on the people on the meeting, it has all of us on, and it says others invited City 7 and Krister as not on meeting.
Okay, well, that's good. It would not instill a great deal of confidence amongst our viewers at this point.
That's right. Although we're being completely transparent with everything.
Well, now we are.
Yes,
Nothing hidden here.
that's right. Warts and all.
Hey, Eric,
Yes.
it's when I was able to jump on Tom's schedule or cancel my meeting, so I'm here.
Oh, good, good. Thank you, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Hey, Sam, how are you?
Oh, okay. Hey, how about yourself?
You were breaking up a little bit there, Sam.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I have trouble with Zoom calls, but this Teams meeting should work fine, fingers crossed. But I have trouble with the audio and Zoom calls.
Well, something interesting. I had a nice long meeting with Kim with Madden Media yesterday, and we are going over some of the results from our CARES Act marketing. I mean, we're still getting the numbers in, but as far as our Google video campaign, Kim said industry average for the view rate is about 40 to 45%, and that's what we were shooting for. Ours was 91%.
Oh my gosh.
So we've had,
Wow,
I think
that's
it
terrific.
said over, so that was the YouTube campaign. And so those were just our CARES Act. That wasn't paranormal. It was all just the CARES Act. So we had almost 6 million views. So that's
wow.
That's amazing.
Did you say 6 million?
Mm-hmm. So in basically in a month. Yeah. So
that's great.
Amazing what you can do when you have money to make good videos. And
that's exactly right. And that's a lesson, right? We're gonna have to figure that out moving forward when there's no more CARES funding. We're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah.
We need to maintain that level of penetration for sure.
Yep. Keep that momentum going.
Yep. And then the impact study that I sent you, Eric, that is the final version. They said as long as I didn't have any tweaks to what we wanted it to look like, it's the final version.
Okay. So let me ask you this. All right. So we're covering tonight, we're covering basically the marketing program, right, and some of those success rates, right?
Yep. Yep. We went over a big long thing. That's another thing we did yesterday. We're talking about occupancy, lodging, and what that looks like across the state, since COVID hit, just to get an idea of, how impactful that has been to the tourism industry and people coming into town, just so people get a good understanding of that. We're going to talk about the CARES Act funding, what we did with it. I told her not to go into like the specifics of the line item stuff, but just like the overall, we were able to do Google and Pandora and YouTube and, things that people would understand and give examples of those.
So after the first of the year, before that information gets too old, I'd like to have her do that presentation for the council at a study session, which should line us up well for some budget discussions that we'll probably be having with them. So I think that would be pretty good timing.
Okay, I should have John joining here in a second.
Okay, great.
Oh, okay, super.
This is okay. It's not like her to miss a meeting.
Yeah, I don't know if John's had a chance to see the meeting minutes from the last board meeting, so I'm not sure he'll be able to.
We can table that, Frank. Sam, we can table those, frankly, and we can get those covered at the next one.
Right. The next normal meeting, because it's kind of like a special meeting, I would say. So I wouldn't cover that anyway.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, and John's not on. Am I correct? I was having a little trouble hearing. John's not on yet. Am I correct?
Not yet.
Okay, that's fine.
We got one more minute, guys, and we're up against that 15-minute mark.
Yep. Did we ever hear from Steve? Did he green light us on a 15-minute late start?
I did not hear.
Okay.
Steve, are you with us?
John just joined.
All right. Steve Wagner, are you ready for us? Goodness.
Well.
Oh, good. All right, we are ready to go. Finally, we finally have a quorum here.
Okay, super. Oh,
okay.
Okay, great. Okay, good morning, everyone. I apologize for the late start here. But I call to order the meeting of the Tourism Commission Executive Board meeting for December 3rd, 2020. I think we'll go ahead and we will just table the first item, which is review and approval of previous meeting minutes, because one of our members hasn't had a chance to review them. So which is fine. We can do that next time. So Eric, I think we'll just move on to the report regarding cost center 6063 historic site maintenance transfer. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sam. Thank you, Mr. Thornton, for being able to join us today on very short order. I wanted to make you aware of an amendment that was made at the Parks Commission level in relation to the proposal that we had presented to this group and to the overall Tourism Commission, and was subsequently endorsed by the overall Tourism Commission relative to the proposal for tourism funding for the rest of the fiscal year and going into next fiscal year. So one of the proposals, if you recall, that we were making was that the costs associated with maintaining the grounds and the sites, our historic sites, would be transferred for 1 year over to the Parks and Recreation Sales Tax Fund. The total amount of that is roughly $240,000. Most of that is staff, and it was important to note that the staff that is performing that work are actually housed out of the park maintenance facility, supervised by park maintenance staff. So they are part of the collective overall maintenance efforts. They were just funded out of the tourism fund. The Parks Commission agreed with that concept, but did make an amendment stating that once the transient guest tax returned to pre-COVID receipt rates, that money be paid back to the Parks and Recreation Sales Tax Fund. There was no timeline put to it. That was the only caveat, is when it returns back to its pre-COVID level. So I needed to bring that back to you all because that is a change in what you had previously approved, and then have that discussion and then hopefully gain your endorsement or not, and then I'll report that up after you all have decided.
Okay. Eric, for John's benefit, and mine too, I suppose, can you recap what the original proposal looked like before the amendment?
Sure. Morris, do you happen to have that handy? Can you bring that up for us?
Give me a second. I don't have it handy. So.
Okay. There were several different elements on it, and again, it's in relation to the overall reduction in transient guest tax, which at the time of the report we were reporting to be 37% down. So we were going to go from our traditional 1.9 million to roughly 1.2, 1.3 million. We do have one additional month's receipts that we have not yet figured in. We just got those earlier this week. So we'll be putting those in before our next commission meeting. So we'll see where our new percentage projection is at this point. Just taking a rough look at it, I think we're probably still right around that 37% down rate, maybe a little bit more than that, but we'll see. We just haven't plugged those numbers in yet.
Okay.
So as soon as Morris finds that, gets it up on the screen, we'll review that in summary form here for you.
All right. So I have that up. I'm going to share it here. This is the revised. So this isn't exactly what was shared with Tourism Commission. This has been updated since then. So the numbers are slightly different.
Okay.
Just FYI. Should be this document here. Can you see that?
Yes, we can. Okay, the first part under the key points is, as I just stated, actually this is not up to date, Morris. It was at 37%. Yeah. Now it's at 32%. But again, we have one more month's worth of data to add in there, and I think that's going to go back to a higher percentage off than 32. The revenue is projected to be reduced by that number, $609,000 down from what we had originally intended, bringing our new projected revenue produced by the transient guest tax for this fiscal year to 1.3 million. Again, that was off of our original projection of 1.9. So In order to compensate for that, we put a proposal together to reduce expenses by $491,000. And then that brings our expense total to 1.351. So you see a $57,000 shortfall still, even after our proposal is crafted. And again, as we said before, we'll reevaluate that in January once we get the first 6 months of receipts in and have half a year's worth of projections then just to come up with. And then we'll make more adjustments in that if necessary. The goal here is to bring the transient guest tax program and budget in at a zero budget, so having no deficit. So we would look to adjust an additional $57,000 down if this formula stayed true. What we're talking about here today is Cost Center 6063 historic sites. We had proposed that those expenses be covered by the park sales tax. Again, that was agreed to. The Parks Commission just wants that eventually paid back once the sales tax for tourism recovers. Museum operations, these are some of the other things that we did to reduce that budget and come up with that $491,000 essentially budget cut. NFTM is proposed to be closed through June of 2021. We have multiple personnel vacancies that we are going to continue to hold open through the fiscal year, so through June. We are going to be looking at a third party potentially to operate the museum starting in FY22. It's more of an operational thing, but we'll have long-term positive impacts on the budget if we can accomplish that. The museum services assistant is currently employed and is funded out of museum operations. That person is being transferred over to the recreation division and will be funded out of the recreation division. Really, that was done early on out of necessity. When the museum closed, her services were not needed there any longer, but they certainly were needed at the recreation centers once we started to reopen those. Because we were so short on our center attendants that we're reporting to each of those facilities due to COVID or COVID concerns and those folks not coming back. So we had to plug her up over there to shore up operations. That has worked out wonderfully, and we want to continue that throughout the fiscal year. Historic sites and museum administrator overseeing operations, volunteers, and events. That position is still funded out of the NFTM, so that you will see some money associated with the National Frontier Trails Museum still in the operating budget for the remaining fiscal year, even though it is closed. I will tell you that the person that that was in that position has recently announced their retirement and will be leaving here soon. However, there's a payout that is associated with that position for vacation accruals and things of that nature. So essentially that position will be vacant, but we will need to hold that budget there to compensate for that payout. So that will not necessarily be a savings, overall savings this fiscal year. Historic site operations, the trends in site visits was analyzed, and we discovered that we were looking at mostly Friday through Monday visits. So we are going to open in the spring of 2021 in April, just as we normally would. At least that's the plan as of now, with several of the main historic sites altering their schedules to just be open to the public Friday through Monday, with special tours scheduled or can be scheduled on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday if we have a group coming into town and they would like to tour the facility. They can certainly do that. They can call and make an appointment, and we'll get some full-time staff over to lead those tours. The log courthouse is going to be open by appointment only. The Truman Depot will remain closed through the next fiscal year. That is more a product of construction than really anything else. We're hoping to have a groundbreaking for the restoration process in May around Truman's birthday, and then open the depot to the public later that fall, hopefully in conjunction with some event that would tie into Truman and the depot. Visitor Center is open Monday through Saturday. Will be open Monday through Saturday. Currently only open Monday through Friday. Saturdays will return once the sites begin to reopen. So that was the overall plan, and that plan has been endorsed by the Tourism Commission as well as the Parks Commission, with the one amendment being made by the Parks Commission. So that's the piece that we are hoping to gain some insight or some direction from you all today, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. And so what you're asking for today is a motion to this amended plan, correct?
That is correct.
And it does not require the vote of the entire Tourism Commission, just the executive.
Yeah, the executive committee can certainly handle that amendment, but I would hope that you would put that on your next agenda for the overall commission. And then that if the commission stands in objection, they can certainly reverse that if they wanted to.
Okay. So the
Eric,
cost
this is Wendy. Just for clarification, the waiting room will still be open at the Truman Depot, correct?
That is correct. Yes. Thank you for that clarification, Wendy. That is absolutely correct.
Okay, so the cost we anticipate having to reimburse the Parks Department for is about $240,000. That's what you said.
That's correct. Yes.
And there's well, you never know. There could be some unanticipated repairs or something that needs required for emergency purposes for historic sites. I mean, how would we handle that part? I guess we'd have to maybe reimburse the Parks Department for that too. If there's something unanticipated that happens, an emergency or disaster.
Yeah, we've maintained in the capital lines, which is separate from the 6063 cost center, some money for emergency fix-it. So that still remains in the overall budget for tourism. We didn't reduce that.
Okay. Right. And we have that contingency fund too that we have in reserve too, I think, for that sort of thing.
We absolutely do. We are running, our projections run that that fund balance at about, was it 840,000, Morris?
Yeah, right under 900,000, about 850,000.
So the question was posed, just for full transparency. So instead of using park sales tax money to cover that function, why are we not just taking that out of the tourism reserves? Well,
right.
Our tourism reserves were up over $1 million going into the COVID scenario, and we pretty much started shutting things down, and we have drained that now down to, so again, around that 840,000. And if you would take another $240,000 on top of that, well, now you're getting down around 600,000, which is almost half of what we had going into this pre-COVID scenario, and certainly is not enough for me to recommend any kind of comfort level with that level of backup, just in case the transient guest tax doesn't recover for a while. We may need that just to cover some base operations if this continues.
Okay. And of course, we're not going to be charged. The tourism department is not going to be charged any interest for the payback on this 240,000.
Since it's all under the same umbrella and family, we are not charging ourselves interest. That is true.
That's right. Okay. John, do you have any questions?
John, you're muted.
John, are you on mute? Maybe. Because I'd be happy to make a motion to approve this amendment.
You're still on mute, John. We see you, but we can't hear you, my friend. So if you can find your mute button.
Try that.
Yeah, there we go. Good.
Okay. I'm not as familiar with this Teams as I am Zoom, so I'm on board.
Good. You're doing well.
Do you have any questions or comments about the amended plan?
Taking some quick notes. It sounds very straightforward and workable to me.
I agree. What kind of a motion do you need? I mean, I'd be happy to make a motion for the approval of this amended plan to reimburse the Parks Department for the money that would be required for historic site maintenance up until the point when the transient guest tax can be viable enough to repay the Parks Division. Is that correct? Or you can rephrase it any way you like. I probably muddled that a little bit, but
no, perfectly.
John, do you second that?
Yes, I will second that.
Okay. Is that sufficient, Eric? Is that what you need?
Yes, perfectly worded. Yes.
Okay.
So you moved and seconded. So then the next would be call for approval or objection.
Good. Okay. Any calls for anybody? Well, I guess we both approve. Anyone disapprove? That's you and me, John.
Okay, I approve.
Okay. Okay. And again, we don't need the unanimous consent. We don't need the third vote by Chris Azur. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sounds like a good plan. And yes, I agree. We should bring it up with the. When is our full commission meeting, Anna or
January
Christy?
26th.
Okay. Oh, January 26th. Right. Okay. Yeah, I would suggest we include that as an agenda item. For information purposes, although as you say, I guess the commission could vote to disagree or overrule the motion today?
Yes, as an overall body, they could. If there was strong objection, they certainly could.
Okay, I don't anticipate that, but that's a possibility.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to rush you into the decision today, but we do need to formulate that as part of our budget proposals, which will be going forward here. Well, we have to finish our budget packaging up by the end of this month to be submitted to the finance department and then to the city manager in January. So before our next tourism commission meeting, I've got to push this up into a package.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, well, thank you very much, Eric. Thank you, Morris and John. Let's see, going back to the agenda for today, I believe that is, that's all we have on the agenda for today. Although, does anyone have anything they'd like to mention before we adjourn? Okay, can you hear me, folks?
Yes, no, I have nothing else to add, Sam.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I have audio issues sometimes. Okay, well, with that then, I move to adjourn. Can I get a second, John?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Yes, I was on live. Yep.